So today, we're going to know where brics and NATO go to war against the entire world. And yes, the entire world. They're not going to go against each other. But let's start out. Partners, or only direct members of the alliance will be included. Partners, people invited, the people that want to join won't be on that side. They'll be on the enemy team. So yeah, the normal BRICS countries: Russia, China, Iran, UAE, Egypt, and yes, we've been some new members: South Africa, Brazil, And then we got NATO. I think we forgot what it is. So let's start off. I know BRICS isn't a military alliance, but we're kind of just doing fiction at the view of this one. So let's start. First of all, I think, everyone's down here. So let's start off. Okay, I don't think anyone's gonna be invading Vatican. Not. Boop. They're done for. Boop. Boop boop. Looks like they didn't remember. Yeah, they are. Well, let's start up the actual invasion. So first of all, England starts the invasion into Ireland. And with the support of other NATO members like France, the Dutch, and Belgium, they're able to capture Dublin and, island surrenders. They aren't gonna last too long. They might last a little bit in the mountains and stuff. Because old town Switzerland over here. And be forced to let the non-mountainous regions fall. But they'll hold out in the mountains pretty well. But they'll eventually be forced to, they won't stay forever. Hungary captured Vienna, and Austria is pretty much done for. Slow advancements into there, but they'll happen. Croatia quickly takes all this out, but the support of Serbia, so far they're stopped, but that's not good. They're getting invaded from all sides. Greece, Romania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, Montenegro, and Croatia invading Serbia. They're getting jumped. Hungary too, and a couple of others. Greece is helping them. Turkey, meanwhile, is consolidating a little bit of its power in the Middle East. For now, slow games are made. Hold on. Okay. Alright, so Abkhazia, this get annexed, and the gradual invasion of Georgia begins, and so Azerbaijan. Russian troops quickly break through the line, and they hear while Iranian troops to the south also help them out in invading Azerbaijan a bit. It's like a circle. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Let's go to America. Oh yeah, and also the old two-player station. So first of all, America will make its move. It'll be slow at first. They'll go around the mountains into the desert, slithering along the coast, and with the help of Canada, which doesn't really provide much, they'll be able to do it a little bit quicker. The American Navy will eventually land in the Yucatan, and they'll really focus on controlling the power of the Caribbean, which includes invading these islands into Cuba, which I'm not sure how well it's gonna happen. It'll be pretty slow with the jungle and stuff, They'll launch an invasion of Dominican Republic from Puerto Rico, and they'll manage to defeat the Dominican Republic Haiti, yeah, I think you know what's gonna happen there. Jamaica, that America so far is doing pretty well. Right now, at least. But let's move to South America. Brazil is able to use the Amazon to its like a natural barrier a bit, but they do struggle a bit. They're facing the entirety of South America. French troops also help from French Guiana also help invade Suriname. It helps destroy it faster. Venezuela explodes. Yep. They're exploding. Wait, just wait, they're exploding. Yeah. Colombia is also not doing so hard. It's kind of a stalemate, and you do see some advances from the blue team. I mean, yeah, the blue team. In here, but they're really minimal. And not too much. Brazil does focus on Uruguay a bit. But let's go to Africa. Yeah, these nations, whatever Eswatini and Lesotho are quickly taken out, while they advance against Mozambique a bit, but they are stopped due to other troops attempting to break through. I mean, you got the entirety of Africa. Yeah, I don't think you can. That'd be not very easy, right? Ethiopia. Oh yeah, also it was like movies don't those don't exist. Just pretend they don't. Right. But Ethiopian troops will quickly advance to Djibouti and take it. Well, Eritrea. Well, there's still a struggle to take Eritrea, but they will have that. Ethiopia does manage to take out Somalia, but at the cost of losing some land in Kenya. But they are able to use the mountain as a natural barrier. These movements exist. Don't tell them I said that. At least not this time. Here they don't. Not here they don't. No. Let's see. We're gonna go to Asia next. Indonesia is able to quickly take Borneo from Malaysia and stuff, But okay. But they do struggle a bit in Papua New Guinea, and they do struggle a bit with the neighboring war. Because of Australia, they're not that bad. They aren't able to navally invade Australia just yet. But let's continue over here. Asia. Whoop. Yeah, I think they're done. Yeah, I don't think Mongolia will last long at all. But, yeah. In India, and whenever this happens, of course, I've also no nukes, luckily. And India is able to advance a little bit into Pakistan for now, with Chinese help too, because and Nepal will eventually get crushed. Yeah, and Bhutan too. They aren't gonna survive. Whoopsies, wrong color. Yeah, but none of these are gonna last long. But advances into Bangladesh that should be a bit slow, but they'll eventually fall after a bit. Vietnam would be pretty hard to advance to. They'd probably be able to advance a little bit in the north, but the jungle. They could probably use the jungle to their advantage, so they won't be able to advance too much. Laos and Myanmar are not gonna last out this one. Probably. I don't think they will. They would eventually fall. Probably not. Whoopsies, probably not this fast, but Myanmar is pretty weak in real life. But Indonesia does make a landing in Singapore and takes it, and and do manage to eventually take them away. Capital from their capitulation, and they still get advancing in the Thailand. But let's focus on other theaters. Over here, Chinese troops cross the river and begin invading into North Korea. And yeah, I think they're kind of like doing pretty good against them. Russia's more focused on the European and these two theaters, the European one and the one over here. And they do make some landings on Japan, but Japan's luckily for them able to hold out. And the slow invasion of Taiwan begins. Well, South Korea, China attempts to defeat flooding into South Korea, which, nope, it kind of failed. But they do manage to capture this land. But now, and the slow Iron Hawk campaign would begin. America consolidates all its power in the Pacific, and they get all the Pacific for themselves. Just pretend this is all like America. It's all America. It's all America. Yeah. Some of the Navy would be in Mexico, but the bulk of it would be over here. Consolidating these islands, and they'd eventually make a landing on New Zealand. And they'd still gradually advance, but they would eventually take it out. But let's go back to the European theater. Oh yeah, and by the way, Russia's still occupied. Whoopsies. It does occupy all the lines. They're really occupied. What's the name of it? I'm not really thorough. But Belarus, being dependent on Russia, decides to just join it. You know. Well, they kind of just, get invaded. And with NATO help coming out, yeah, it's a bit easy. Bush restarts the northern campaign. I don't think Ukraine's gonna last. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, with NATO help. And also, they're gonna begin invading in the year too. Yeah. Bosnia? They're gone. Serbia? They're also gone. What a surprise. They also got destroyed. Turkey is focusing now, able to focus more over here. Egypt does attempt to invade Israel, which goes semi-successful, but it won't help them. But without American help, it actually won't successfully than it did with American help. So they'll keep invading. They'll eventually capture it. Jordan, I think they can. Yeah, I don't know how long. Qatar and Bahrain have invaded pretty quickly. Wait. Saudi Arabia is not a member state. Hold on, my bad. So yeah, the invasion to join happened. But Saudi Arabia is occupying UAE because, yeah, they are members. Yeah. But they didn't occupy. Just pretend that didn't happen. My bad. But Iran does make a landing over here, and they do try to go on the road a bit. Egypt's neighbors are all pretty unstable, so they could probably hold out against them. Maybe make a little bit of advances into Libya on the coast here. They probably do that. But yeah, Israel does get invaded, but it's gradual. Pretty gradual. They aren't in either alliances. Egypt does make a little incursion to join Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia is able to repel them for now. Iraq right now is pretty weak, so Iran is able to get up to the Euphrates the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And while Turkey started to get the riverheads early in Turkey, so they built dams and they stopped the lower water flow, which weakens Iraq even more than they're already pretty weakened. Caucasian, yeah, they eventually do end up falling. They don't say they're not gonna say that. Whoopsies. And Russia begins starting its invasion in the Kazakhstan right now. But let's go to 3, 2, 1. You guessed it. America. A breakthrough in Mexico is made into, and they attempt to do a very amphibious assault on the capital. I think it's like over here or something. Hold on, let me check that out. Central America. Oh. Mexico City. Where is it? It's somewhere around here, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Well, they do advance towards the capital, and Mexico can face more than they already were. And America keeps invading Israel. They eventually are. And America starts its invasion in Guatemala. This is pretty successfully. They do the gradual invasion of the Honduras. The invasions of the Caribbean, land in Venezuela, and start helping out the Brazilians a bit. While the Brazilians manage to capture Guyana and Suriname, which allows them to focus more over here. But Argentinians are advancing a bit. Uruguay just ends up joining Argentina. So probably won't hold their own. And for now, this is how it looks. There we go. That's how it looks for now. Alright, yeah. They end up collapsing, but America decides to take a rest at this gap, the so-called Darien Gap. And they also do take the Panama Canal, I think. Oops. That is over here. Alright, now where's the next one? Oh! Italy with the help of France and other dudes. Oh yeah, let's just say all the Switzerland stuff. Like, yeah, Switzerland's done for, and Austria are done. Doesn't really matter. Italy manages to land in Tunisia, and they took advantage of the pretty mid-stability, and they also help. And Spain also lands in Morocco, and they take this again. And Portugal helps them too, and they land over here too. And they also have the help of all the Nordic countries, like Romania and Ukraine. Let's just say it's not going so hot. Poland's advancing from the east. Romania's advancing from the west. I mean, Poland's advancing from the west. Russia's advancing from the east. They managed to capture Kyiv, and it's There we go. So the European theater is done. Now which is the African theaters, the American theater, and the Asian theater, which is quite a map. But with the arrival of troops from all of these countries, South Africa starts to face some pushback. Yeah, they're facing some good right now. They're gonna they have set up a defense line near the mountains. And you might be wondering, why isn't Afghanistan being invaded? Well, you can't invade Afghanistan. In this scenario, it's gone. It just disappeared off the map. Meanwhile, Iran tries to redirect some troops in Turkmenistan. They start a campaign, but it doesn't really go that successfully. They don't have that many troops over there. They're mainly focused over here in the Middle East. And they do manage to capture Baghdad, and the Iraq surrenders. And they also capture its capital, and they're occupied by Saudi Arabia. Both. Syria's getting invaded. Syria's invaded, and they eventually do end up collapsing. And Iran and Turkey are helping. And Jordan sides, yeah. With the Saudis. And yeah, I was gonna say they were with the Saudis. The armies merged, yeah. It's the war for the brics. And the war for the Arabian Peninsula goes, no. What? Ah, no. But with European troops now getting sent to the front, their advancements are even faster now. Well, some European troops, like Nordic ones, British ones, mainly Northern Europe, like this. France makes a landing in Algeria, and it goes pretty successfully, though they do meet some European troops. Normally they're taking northern spots anyway. Let's see next. Go to the Asian theater, North Asian more specifically. South Korea is getting pushed back, but it's taken a while. After a while, they do eventually get pushed back just to Busan. And unlike in the North Korean War, where American troops arrived and went pshh, and then the Chinese went pshh. This time, they fought. Yep. And they managed to gain. And they eventually do manage to gain Taiwan and all these islands. They still haven't made many landings. And also, troops are redirected from Russia to Japan, and the European front being done, which allows them to make a pretty successful landing. And America now having fully secured the Pacific, they're making multiple landings, including some in Japan, they make some near Tokyo and stuff, and the Philippines too. And they're also helping out the Indonesians over here, you know, a little bit. And they take the back, yeah. And oh no, that's okay. Hold on, let me change this color. Let me change Australia's color. I don't like it. Oh no, now it looks too much like Indonesia's color. Oh no, I can notice. The difference is noticeable, so I'll just keep it. This is Australia now. No, it's not Indonesian. And they do manage to make a landing in Western Australia. They make a landing in Tasmania too. Darwin. Australia attempts to resist, but they're not, and it manages to stop them, but it's inevitable. Their capital gets captured. and they move it over here. And meanwhile, Papua New Guinea started being defeated. Indonesia, with the help of America, makes a landing in northern Australia. Which, it's not that good. It's not really too good at the Australia. Meanwhile, India means stronger. India is managing to try or less develop the channel. And they're beginning to advance into Thailand. Meanwhile, Indonesia is helping, which is kind of being a little bit less in numbers, but they are managing to get towards Bangkok. China advances a bit in Vietnam. They make some landings in the south down here, but it's not much to really do anything. Indonesia manages to make some landings on the Philippines, capturing these islands. But they're kind of the gains are kind of gradual. They make some landings in here too, but the gains are just gradual. Not that. But not at least. Let's see. Let's go back over to the Americas. Brazil is struggling a bit, actually. Bolivia's managed to advance here. Typically, with help of Argentina managing to advance over here, but they make it. They capture land up to the river, but not much past that. Because Argentine push is getting a bit tied up. And America bypassing the Darien Gap. Heck is this? There we go. And America manages to make a landing over here, bypassing the Darien Gap, forcing Colombian troops to leave the Darien Gap. American troops just beyond it. Though it does take a little bit of time. And this surprise attack causes some Argentine troops to be diverted up there, which compared with being a bit abandoned. And they also fall back to like this river over here. Just a devastating loss for them. It's not that good for them. And they depend on this. The entire line depends, and their capital, I think it's like over here. It depends that if this line doesn't fall. But really, Brazil's probably gonna capture the capital if this line falls, which does eventually happen. And they also manage to advance over here, stuff. And they're kind of abandoned Bolivia, leaving them pretty vulnerable. And then they're forced to fall back to the mountains. No. Nothing much is happening in Peru, but Brazil is slowly advancing with Colombia. Venezuela is fully occupied, finally. I got to tell you, but quite tell. The guys in here don't exist. But let's continue. No commands to make the landing over here, and Colombia was forced into our mountains. Whoa. Okay, so whatever that was, I fixed it. But let's continue. American troops keep advancing into Colombia. Slowly but surely, Missouri to Colombia eventually ends up surrendering. And Peru and Ecuador get advanced into two. This will be a blitz. Peru is forced to fall back to those mountains, just like Bolivia, and they set up a defense line. They just join each other because Bolivia is basically dead. But then they will end up joining Argentina because their military is in much better command. Right? This is what the borders look like for now. 3 countries in South America. Hey, 3 kingdoms. Hey, 3 kingdoms reference. And they slowly slither down the coast. But they all do eventually get snapped, as the mountains just extend. So, the Navy, so, American Navy having some good dominance over here, because oh yeah, also the Falklands are Nazis, and Britain manages to make a landing over here too. And with America with their pretty strong Navy for now, it's mostly tied up over there, but Argentina's Navy is pretty overstretched because they're fighting both the Brazilian Navy and parts of the American Navy. They managed to make a landing over here, which is absolutely bad for Argentina. And they are forced to make a better defense line with less troops. And yeah, this happens. They're getting pretty close to collapsing, and they've kind of abandoned Peru, which allows it to fall into Brazilian and American hands. And Peru probably wouldn't be happy about this, but now they're led by and they also abandoned the rest of Bolivia too. That would be a pretty solid defense. But they have to make it even better, so they have to fall back to here. Luckily, they planned for this, so if fall back to here happens, then it's pretty smooth. They mean to spend some time, and yeah. So for now, it's how America will. And Canada and America are sending troops over here. And they have made a landing in Mauritania, but it's really small and stuff. It's not too bad. But they're able to hold out for now. Let's continue. South Africa. South Africa is getting pretty cooked right now. And also India sees this. If India is sending troops over here, and the land over here too, while Pakistan's getting brutally mauled to death and brutally destroyed, and they're eventually forced to retreat to the mountains. India focused on taking the Kashmir, and they do manage to take the pinnacle of Afghanistan, and they do manage to take this, but Taliban, but Afghanistan holds out in the mountains. And they do manage to make some advancements over these mountains, but those mountains, not these ones. So for now, this is how it looks. And oh yeah, Russia's advancing into Kazakhstan pretty quickly. China is doing something too. Most of the troops are focused over there. So this is mainly Russia's front. With the help of some other European countries too. So yeah, they're not doing so hot. These countries are not doing so hot. India's also helping a bit. Oopsies, wrong color. Now I think India. I think Afghanistan's not gonna last much longer. Because now, only Russia and India are focusing on that. Those are gradually advancing the left. Yeah, they're eventually forced to. Then they'll live much longer. Let's see, they learn. So yeah, India is focusing on Africa, and they managed to make a landing over here in Oman. And the land is beginning to advance even faster now. Whoopsies, wrong car. Oh. And yeah, they managed to make a landing. Egypt managed to make a landing over here. It's pretty obvious that they're collapsing. Ethiopia manages to take all of this over here, and India gives them this, making Ethiopia the Horn of Africa now. Nice. The Horn of Africa Empire. The African troops see what's going on. They do have a few, which does allow Africa to push them back over here a bit. We have a solid defense line over here. Luckily for them. Because they see Egypt as more of a threat now. And yeah, even more European troops are pouring in like high numbers too. So yeah. They're advancing even further. And yeah, Saudi Arabia does eventually surrender to the brics and NATO team. And yeah, what happened? The borders look at least now. Now they're all focusing. Now they're gonna be all focusing on Africa. Meanwhile, over here, let's go check out what's going on here. That's not good. Oh, that's even. Oh. Okay, yeah. So it's obvious. Yeah, China made their landing over here, and with more American troops coming in higher numbers, yeah. The Japanese army might have a big economy, but yeah, they won't. Yeah, three great powers just smashing in on them. Yeah, they're not gonna get done for. It just smashed to death. Yeah, we'll have China do this. But now let's see how patients are. Yeah, and yeah, Vietnam, these guys eventually fall. They occupy its capital, Thailand. Australia eventually falls over to the Indonesians and the Americans. And the Chinese and other troops forces sent out too. So it's basically just Africa now. Americans occupy the more southern parts, but the Indonesians occupy the more northern parts. But with the casualties in the millions, the nations are eventually going to decide. And South Africa does begin advancing and back to the army full. Yeah. State's not going good. India occupies Madagascar and to make a landing in Mozambique, which causes more troops to be redirected from there to there. And yeah, all the I think they'd probably okay. So now at this point, they know they're not gonna win. The non-brics know they're not gonna win. So what they do is they decide as group of peace, as countries are already in the building. So let's check out the peace deal. This is the peace treaty. China took all of Korea, but America managed to straight them out, taking Japan. But it's basically like a lump puppet of Russia, China, and America. Indonesia took Papua New Guinea and Northern Australia, and they took East Timor and Borneo from Malaysia. Not fully some. And India, they decided to take all of Pakistan, and Afghanistan was divided to prevent any future threats from emerging there. Because, yeah, I think they'll know. Hold on, let's see this. Man. Does that always happen? Sheesh. What the heck? Alright, let's go. Alright. Well, Saudi Arabia basically become a monk state of Iran. And Egypt took some Arabian land. We took Israel mainly. And Turkey took parts of Syria and Iraq and Lebanon. Libya became a puppet state of Egypt. Sudan's now basically a rump state, but not a puppet of anyone. It's expected for its maybe collapsing. Ethiopia took the entire Horn of Africa, and it's now the Great Horn of Africa, but who knows how long that'll last? It's probably not gonna last that long. Who knows? But you know, South Africa took all this, even though they had fights pretty much in the war. But until they advanced to the end, which probably saved them. So, there. Brazil took Uruguay, parts of Bolivia, and the Paraguay. They took Venezuela, Guyana, and Suriname. Guyana and Suriname because of the conflict. Venezuela because apparently it's unstable. And it probably shouldn't. It probably shouldn't have a wild man running around there. You know, cloudy, kind of the government, you know, the whole span. Well, Bolivia and Paraguay were partitioned between Brazil and Argentina. Chile remains intact. These countries remain intact. America formed, I know they probably wouldn't take all this, but America formed a Mexican puppet. Formed a puppet state in Mexico. A couple minutes to the lands. They took Cuba because why not? They let the Dominican Republic have all of Haiti, and they're supposed to become like an alliance, remember? And Jamaica too, same thing as Haiti. I mean, Dominican Republic. I know Dominican and America can help the Dominican Republic integrate Haiti. Germany took Austria, and Switzerland was divided, which was quite controversial. But you know what? It happened. Albania took Kosovo. That makes a lot of sense. Serbia became like a rump state these days. But Bosnia, oh, that was just partition between them along like the list of lines, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But so hope you enjoy. Bye.